Hi, I'm Daisy, and today I have here with me Jerry from Nomad Elite, and we are going to talk about how to become a digital nomad in 2021. We're going to go over 9 points to help you get into that field, which is actually getting to be one of the most popular fields these days. And yeah, I hope that you're excited for today's video. So, hi, Jerry, how are you doing?
Hi, Daisy. Well, I'm glad to be doing this interview with you together. I'm excited to be sharing some really cool tips to our audience, and hopefully, they're going to get out a ton of value from this interview that we're going to be conducting right now.
Yes, yes. So am I. I'm great. I'm really excited to hear all the insights from someone who's actually been doing this for quite a while. And I'm really excited also for the audience to get to know you and get to know exactly what you're doing. So I think that it would be best if we start with what exactly is a digital nomad so people can get to know the field a little bit better.
Okay. A digital nomad is a person who moves around a lot and works online at the same time. Now, when you take a look at what a digital nomad could do for work, right? It could be someone working for a company. It could be someone like an entrepreneur, it could be an investor. But as long as their work involves the internet, making money online, they would be considered a digital nomad. And digital nomads usually change places every so often. For instance, they're going to spend a month in Spain and then they're going to move on to another location. Let's say that's going to be the Philippines in Southeast Asia. And they're going to be there for the next 3 to 6 months, right? So there isn't really a set amount of time that a digital nomad needs to spend in any given location, because their whole premise is that a digital nomad is location independent and can switch to a new location whenever he or she wants to do so. And there's even now a lot of digital nomads that are doing this routine in the US alone. So, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in just one location, right? It doesn't just need to be one country. It could be, for instance, the whole planet where you're moving around. Let's say you have 5 countries where you would like to spend time in, and then you can structure it in a way that you spend like a few weeks here and then a few months there. And, this is how I would work pretty much.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Sounds like very free, independent, something that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in. And it's also one of the fastest growing industries right now. And with the pandemic, people are looking into becoming a digital nomad more and more. So it's definitely really cool to talk with someone who has been doing this for a while. And can you let us know, how did you become a digital nomad? How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I became a digital nomad already 10, 11 years ago. I had a job in a supermarket, and that was the last job that I ever had. I quit that job because it was not very fulfilling. And that was actually not the main reason why I quit it. I mean, you want to do something you're really interested in, but the main reason for me was that that job that I had in the supermarket was never going to give me the freedom that I wanted to have personally. And so I made a decision at that time, I think it was 2010, between working for somebody else and working for myself. And I knew that it was not going to be an easy path because I needed to leave the job that I had in the supermarket, and I moved back into my parents' basement, which was a very difficult thing to do because I had to take a lot of crap from my own family that was very unsupportive of me at the time. And my parents actually thought that I should still be working at that supermarket. And I will never forget, my father told me, "You're going to regret quitting that job." And I told him, "No, you will regret not supporting me." That's what I told him. But that was my journey. I was working from home then for like 18 months, and it was a difficult path because I didn't really have any skills. And I tried a lot of things to make money, and nothing really worked because I was new to it. I wasn't really exposed to the industry. I didn't really have the know-how on how to do it. But I managed to make money with SEO back then. So I monetized websites through AdSense. And I had a great day. I had a 4-figure day. I will never forget that. And once I had the 4-figure day, I booked a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia. And I never really looked back. I just didn't see any other option. There was no plan B for me. It was this or nothing at all. And so I just went all in with that idea. And it worked out pretty well. So it doesn't matter where you are, I think, as long as you can envision where you want to be and that you're willing to make these sacrifices in order to get there, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you actually have a really cool story, I think. Something that's going to be worth like a book or movie in the future. So that's definitely great. And since you mentioned that digital nomads travel a lot and you've been doing this for over 10 years now, I'm sure that you've visited more than a few countries. So will you let us know where you've been so far? Which countries have you visited?
Sure. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. I've lived in the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia. I've visited other countries like Indonesia, Taiwan, Japan, China, Macau, Hong Kong. And I've also operated companies in those countries, right? But I've spent a good amount of time in Southeast Asia. And I've also traveled a lot in Europe. I've traveled a lot in Africa. And not that much in Latin America yet. So I was always more obsessed about Southeast Asia because I really enjoyed how people see a person coming from the US or a person coming from Europe. You know, they're very open minded, and it was always a great challenge traveling in those countries for me. And it's actually been the first area for digital nomads to really move to because they had very relaxed visa policies, which allowed you to stay there for a good amount of time and you could just live in a country on a tourist visa, which was really good. I've been to a lot of countries. I can't tell you an exact number, but it's probably been between 50 to 60 countries.
So that's probably more than some people visit in their lifetime. So I think you're doing really well on the list of countries that you've visited so far. So that's definitely great. One of the many benefits of being a digital nomad for sure. I also wanted to ask you something that a lot of people are probably wondering right now, and it's is it too late for someone to become a digital nomad? Because you've started this a while back and now a lot of people are also starting to do it. Do you think that the market would get oversaturated? Do you think it's too late? Can people still make it as a digital nomad?
Well, those are a lot of really interesting questions, I think. And I agree that a lot of people are asking those questions. And I think there's always going to be a way to make money. And the reason why there's always going to be a way for someone to become a digital nomad is because there's always going to be new opportunities on the internet. You know, what has gotten really popular over the past, I would say, 5 to 7 years is Amazon, you know, for instance. And now we see other platforms on the rise, like TikTok. You know, so I wouldn't really be too concerned if it's still possible. I mean, as long as there are people doing it, you can definitely say that it is still possible, right? But what is the important factor is what you can add in terms of value, you know? So you need to acquire a unique skill set that will give you a competitive advantage as a digital nomad. And if you're able to do that, like if you're able to spot a trend earlier than a lot of other people are, then you're going to be fine, you know? And I don't think there is a shortage of opportunities, of money-making opportunities. There are so many. And there's so many markets. You know, for instance, you don't need to be from an English-speaking country to make money as a digital nomad. You know, like you don't just have to capture the US, the Canadian, the Australian market. No. Like it's actually an advantage if you speak a different language. For instance, if you speak Portuguese, Spanish, or French, I mean, you actually have it's probably going to be easier for you to make money than, you know, if you just follow the path of 4,213,000 other people, you know, that are trying to make money in that. So I think there's always going to be opportunities. You just need to be able to find the right trends and acquire the right skills in order to make money. And you can be a digital nomad for as long as you're willing to work and as long as you're willing to really focus on the things that are working right now.
Well, that's great. And I also agree with you that as long as there are people doing it, there's still time for you to start. So if any of you that are listening right now really want to become a digital nomad, we can help you going further in the video. And starting now, we're going to discuss like what are some of those key essential skills that the digital nomad should have. You mentioned that you should be aware of what your skills are, what your input is, how you can be different from anyone else. What would you say are some of those key essential skills for a digital nomad?
Okay, if we take a look at the money making aspect of things, right? I mean, what you need is like a basic set of skills. Let's say you want to become an influencer, right? You need to pretty much learn how to influence people through any platform that's out there, whether that would be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So you need to learn how to engage with people on social media. That would be the number one point if we take that as an example, right? And then you need to be able to produce a lot of content on a consistent basis, you know? And then the third thing, which is ideal, and you're probably going to get there once you start making money, is to outsource part of your work so you can really scale and so you can really free up your time to focus on other things, on maybe even new business models that can also make you money, right? So I think one of the key skills is to find your interest and become really good at something, and then really work on it and try to find a way to scale it, and to automate it. That would be just the skill in terms of making money, right? There's other skills involved if you want to become a digital nomad or if you want to stay a digital nomad. For instance, there's a lot of people that are joining this movement, but you want to stay a digital nomad as well. And I think how you do that is by really disciplining yourself that when you're in a startup, yeah, you can work in any location that you want, but you also have to understand that it takes sacrifice in order to get there. Because if you are in a startup, chances are you need to figure out a lot of things. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to try to find partners, maybe even. You need to really acquire more skills. So if you're in a new location, you need to say no to a lot of entertainment until you get to the point when you are making good money, when you're at the point when you start really outsourcing, so you can free up your time. So you really need a solid business model in place, I think. But another, like I said, one of the key skills is to really make sure you're self-reliant, and you don't easily say yes to things if you are abroad, because it's beautiful to live in other countries, but it's also difficult to say no to certain things you would want to do there. For instance, hanging out there, if you meet people, it's going to be difficult sometimes to say no because you want to do those things, right? I think the first thing actually that I should mention is that your business must stay your top priority all the time, because your business allows you to become and stay a digital nomad. And without your business, or if you work for a company, that's also possible if you're a remote worker, an employed remote worker, then your top priority must be the company you work for, because the company you work for enables you to be and stay a digital nomad.
You're saying to be careful with the distractions, right? And I totally agree. I mean, the job is what got you
Yes,
there, so you don't want to lose it, because without the job, then you're also out of there and you're going to lose all of those amazing opportunities.
absolutely.
So, going in that same direction, what are some specific jobs that would allow people to become digital nomads?
Okay, well, there's a whole set of them. I mean, there's probably hundreds of them or thousands, but some that are very typical are, for instance, a copywriter, ad manager, like a Facebook ad manager, or a virtual assistant is also very popular. I mean, any skill that a company would need talent for could be a job offered to someone that is looking to become a digital nomad. So, like I already said in an earlier answer, I think, is that what you really need to do is you need to find your interest. You need to find something that interests you, and you need to understand that what you do, you don't just do it for the money. Yeah, the money is the ticket to your freedom. So no doubt you're going to need that. But what really keeps you going and what really keeps you inspired is your interest in an area you want to grow. As long as you have that and as long as you enhance your skills and everything, you're going to be doing fine. So if you really enjoy doing videos, then that is an aspect that you probably want to spend more time on if you want to get employed or if you want to start making money. But the same is also true if you are more skilled at writing, if you want to become a copywriter, article writer, whatever. If you want to put together a sales funnel, right? You need to learn the language of sales or of copywriting, then you need to do that. So it's good. If you want to find your job, that would be the first step, is to actually try more things. Allow yourself a little bit of time to try some things, see what your talents are if you don't know what your talents are yet. If you already know what you're passionate about, if you, for instance, found that already a long time ago, then the path is pretty clear. But for some people, it's not that clear because everything that I hear right now, they haven't really experienced. So my advice is to just try some things. If you enjoy creating a graphic, a logo, if that is fulfilling to you, if you enjoy that, if you want to become really good at that, then that is what you should focus on. Because if you have that hunger, you can become excellent at it. And that's when you can charge really high fees too. If you are, for instance, something like an independent contractor, maybe even run something like a marketing agency.
I can already hear a lot of really great advice in this video, so hopefully it will be very helpful to someone watching, and they can become a digital nomad as well and follow their dream. So that's great, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
I hope
Do you
so.
have any location recommendations? Like you said already that you've visited quite a lot of countries. Do you have any recommendations for people who are just starting out?
Well, that is a great question, but it's also a very broad question because the location that you want to choose, there's so many components. For instance, what kind of food do you like? Do you like hot weather? Do you like cold weather? What kind of culture do you like? Because there's a lot of good digital nomad locations, for instance, in Southeast Asia. But if you hate humidity, it's just not for you. If you like, for instance, cold weather, then there's also some really cool places in Northern Europe. There's, for instance, Estonia, which I hear is pretty good. I've never been there because I personally hate cold weather. So you're never going to see me up there unless it's maybe, summertime then. So I recommend just really having a look at what are your preferences, like food, weather, culture, people. Because you have options everywhere. You have those options in Latin America, you have those options in Asia, and you have those options in Europe too. Now, you can become a digital nomad in North America too, but it's going to require a lot more money for you to really be able to support yourself, because it's going to be much more expensive. Like rent is more expensive, food is more expensive, insurance, everything is going to be more expensive. So if you want to become a digital nomad and live abroad, I recommend going to a low-cost country. If you like warm weather, maybe try a place like Vietnam or the Philippines. And that's actually another point I wanted to bring up here, is to find a place where it's easy to get a long-term stay visa. Because you don't want to be in a place you can only stay for like 30, 60, 90 days. You have to leave and you cannot come back in for a long time. You don't want that. You want to be in a place that is relaxed when it comes to visa policies. And that's one of the reasons why I like certain countries like Indonesia. The Philippines is good, like I said. But if you go to the Latin countries, they're even more relaxed and you have more options. But again, you need to like the culture and you need to feel good wherever you're at. So there isn't really a set way to really determine this beforehand, other than someone going there, trying it out to see whether it's for him or not. But there is an abundance of great countries where someone can go to with even a low income, stay there, build a business or work for a company, and even save and invest money at the same time.
Yeah, well, it all sounds great. And as you said, there are a lot of options and it all just depends on personal preferences. And this is where you can really get creative and choose where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Now I have a little bit more of an abstract question for you. Let's say that you are about to become a digital nomad right now. You're now starting your path to becoming a digital nomad. What would your first steps be? You've learned a lot throughout the last 10 years. What would you change? What would your first couple of steps be to become a successful digital nomad?
One of the things I would probably do right now, which is available now, which wasn't really available beforehand, at least not to the same degree, is I full-heartedly believe that someone who is starting off right now does not need to invest in expensive courses. For instance, all the information you need to learn everything pretty much is available for free on YouTube or Google. It's available in the form of informational videos, of blog posts. So there's really no excuse. Now, when I started 2010, it was also there, but it was a lot less obvious and it was a lot less information too. It really started a lot more, I would say, 5 to 7 years ago, But that's something I would change because I did spend money on courses. And in hindsight, yeah, definitely learned some good information. But a lot of the times, you can get all this information for free. You need to learn the basics of whatever you're trying to do. If you, for instance, are looking to if you want to become a copywriter, you can't really learn that through a coaching program. I mean, what I would do instead is I would just take a look at the sales pages of the top products in your industry and just study those sales pages, the funnels, the wording they use, how they persuade people. If it's findable, which it is, so that's something I would change. And another thing that's probably also important is to preserve capital. Because if you're a digital nomad and you work for yourself, okay, I'm not talking now about someone who is employed by a company, which can also change. The company can lay you off and you need to find a new job. But one of the things that's really important is to preserve capital, to save and invest, because there's going to be a time when things are not going to work out. And for that time, you want to have a cushion. So you can still stay in those places, and you can rebuild whatever you want to do next. And another thing that is important, which I also pointed out, is to say no to a lot of things. Say no to certain distractions. If you're in places and you can always hang out with people, but try to find a good medium. It doesn't need to be every day. It doesn't need to be a few hours a day, especially if your own business right now needs you so bad that you just need to spend more time to figure certain things out. And then, like I always say, it's going to be much more enjoyable to spend money when you can afford to spend it and when it's not going to hurt you. And in order to get to that point, you have to get the setup right first.
Yeah, great. Well, now to summarize all of the great information that we heard so far, if someone just comes up to you and is like, I want to be a digital nomad, and you have like a minute to give them some of your best advice, what would that advice be? Like really summarized and structured, what would that advice be for someone who's just starting out right now?
Okay. I mean, the absolute first thing that is almost deadly, it's usually very deadly, is people around you trying to influence you not to become a digital nomad. Because I have had this happening in my own family, like I pointed out early on. So if you have people around you that are being very negative, they're like, no, you should stick to your job. Oh, you can't do it because you don't have the skills, you don't have the experience, or you don't have enough brains. They want you to stop from doing this. So I would not listen to that. I would surround myself with people that are very positive, with people that are encouraging, and with people that want to see you prosper, that want to see you live the digital nomad lifestyle, the real digital nomad lifestyle. And unfortunately, that can also mean to kind of stop contact with people very close to you, because you're not going to have any other option. This journey must be your top priority, like I already said, and you have to say no to a lot of things. And that includes friends, family, and, whoever is trying to stop you from becoming who you want to become. So that would be one tip. And then another tip is just to really find something that you really like to do, where you can say, you know what, I'm sitting in front of my computer the whole day. This does not really feel like work to me. I can see myself do this for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. If you found something like this and you can also monetize it, if it's well paid, that's where you want to spend your time, because the time that you put in over so and so many years, is then going to create good results. And the third thing I'd recommend is, which is going to make your life much easier, to move to a location that is really conducive to creating success. Where okay, the cost of living is low, so you have that covered. You're going to have positive, like-minded people around you. You're going to be able to enjoy your rewards there a lot more than you can back home, because you have, for instance, exactly what you're looking for in terms of sceneries, entertainment, sports, whatever you like to do. If you find this, then you're going to be happy there, because you can enjoy life more than you can back home, spending a lot less money too. So those three things would be my advice to someone starting out and trying to avoid some of the mistakes that I made.
Yes, you said it very, very nicely. Okay, thank you so much, Jerry. I think that this video and interview were packed with useful information for people who want to become a digital nomad right now. And for those of you watching, if you really want to, You heard him. It's not too late. You can always find a way to make it. Just make sure that you're doing something that you love. So, thank you so much again for all of the amazing insight and the information. And I really hope that we can do another interview together soon.
Yeah, likewise, Daisy. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys got a lot of good value out of it. And if you want to learn more, it's pretty easy. Click on the red button down there, subscribe, and wait for the next video to be uploaded. But there's also a bunch of content on my channel that teaches you how to become a digital nomad, where I show you the location. So all the info, like I said, is available for free on YouTube, and one of the best places to start is this channel.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much again, and I will see you again. Bye.
Thank you, Daisy. See you soon.